A young model, a hitman.
In a quiet, middle-class unit, a beautiful young woman is literally executed.
Police secrets.
She's laying in her grave with a question mark over what's going on.
And the cat who saw it all.
I think unusual would probably be an understatement in the circumstances.
Our investigation starts now. Good evening, I'm Liz Hayes, and this is Under Investigation. She's a stunning bride at a fairy tale Adelaide wedding. 18 months later, she's shot dead.
She was caught unawares and she was executed. It was an out-and-out hit.
It's July the 4th, 1997. And even for a city seemingly accustomed to unusual murders, the killing of Karina Marr is particularly shocking.
It was clinical, it was swift, it was ruthless.
It's been a quarter of a century.
Police say it's possible Mrs. Marr did know her killer.
Swirling with dark and sensational rumours.
She fell victim to an obsessed stalker.
Her father, distraught as he ran to the scene, is still devastated today.
It's been so long now. You think you'd get over something like this, but you don't. It's with you every day.
The killer or killers have never been caught.
The search for a motive has so far baffled police.
Despite police targeting dozens of suspects. Were you in love with Karina? One of those suspects was Karina's close friend and boss, Colin Todd.
I was given her advice as a friend in regards to affairs with other people. You're doing situations too close to home.
Also joining me tonight, Graham Archer, veteran current affairs journalist and author.
The person who did this was clearly on a mission to murder.
And Alex Christich, retired Victorian Major Crime Squad detective and ballistics expert.
There's something going on that we don't know about, and the police have dug their heels in about passing this information on.
25-year-old Karina Marr was always popular.
Even from when she was knee-high to a grasshopper, she was always funny and out doing things. Never a dull moment with her.
An up-and-coming real estate agent in Adelaide, and someone her long-time friend Colin Todd says he was drawn to from the moment they first met when working in the same office.
She was the receptionist there and I was a salesperson and we got along.
And you found her attractive?
Yes, I did. Yeah, no doubts. No one would not find her attractive.
When Colin opened his own real estate business, Karina joined him. He was her boss, but also, he says, her confidant.
Once Karina heard I was going to open my own office, she said, I'm coming with you. Certainly, I can't deny the fact that something clicked in regards to our personalities, and she took a liking to me.
Out of the office, Karina had a second career as a part-time model. Her bubbly personality proving popular for promotional work, often in pubs and clubs at night, but perhaps also attracting unwanted attention.
I think that she didn't realise the effect she was having on some men, particularly given that she was doing this promotional work in hotels where people were drinking, largely a male population.
I'm loath to shame her if that's
I don't
going to be part of the people's thinking.
I don't think in the context of this, I don't think her behaviour is something that should be used to shame her. It's an opportunity for investigators to identify motives and to identify suspects.
Karina was married to Robert Marr, an air conditioner technician, who told police he had no fears for his wife or concerns about her work. Her husband, Robert Marr, said that she was an independent woman, a real battler, and worked very hard. Does that sum her up?
Yes, it does, actually.
But according to Colin, Karina had talked of some struggles and that the new home the couple was building was causing them financial stress.
She did have marital problems. The marriage was up and down. She spoke about leaving Robert.
She had direct conversations with you?
Yes. She actually indicated she married the wrong person to me at one stage.
And why was she telling you, do you think?
Well, she could confide in me and vice versa. I confided in her. We're best of friends.
Claims of affairs and romantic liaisons would follow Karina's death. But at the time, whatever the state of her marriage, on the day she is murdered, July the 4th, 1997, there's no hint her life is in danger. She's been at work and leaves in the early afternoon to prepare for a promotional job at an Adelaide pub that night.
I reckon it was 2:30 thereabouts she left for home.
But before she leaves, Karina shows Colin Todd the outfit she'll be wearing.
She held up the lycra outfit and I was a bit taken back because it looked so small.
I think they call cat suits
Cat
kind
suit.
of...
Yeah, that's right.
And she was in a good mood?
Yeah.
The plan is for Colin to pick Karina up from home and take her to her promotional job, something he says he often did.
I said, I'll catch you later and I'll be there on time.
What was your basic role when you went out to these functions?
Just to actually keep an eye on her and as a friend.
Was there an issue, do you think? Was it just late night? Was it the location? Was it their pubs?
Well, some of the promotion gear that she had to wear was pretty revealing.
Karina's husband, Robert, too, would sometimes attend her promotional events.
Robert was a very hard person to be with.
Was his and your relationship not good?
I wouldn't say not good. Basically, it was made known to me that he had a temper on him and not to upset him.
Who made that known?
Karina.
Colin admits his relationship with Karina and Robert was complex and that occasionally he felt there was some tension. Can I ask you this? Do you think Robert understood you found Karina attractive and didn't like it?
I suspect he might have thought I was having an affair with her.
Coming up...
This is a very small room. It's a convenient room in which to commit a murder like this.
We enter the crime scene.
She's got no exit, no way of escaping, even if she'd wanted to.
And an extraordinary twist.
He sees the cat, which is within a matter of centimetres away from the body, and then walks out of the room without seeing his wife.
That's next on Under Investigation. It's the afternoon of July the 4th, 1997, the last day of Karina Marr's life. The 25-year-old real estate agent and part-time model has been hired for a promotional event that night. She's left the office to change at home, where her real estate boss and close friend Colin Todd planned to pick her up.
I reckon it was 2:30 thereabouts she left for home.
And she was in a good mood?
Yeah.
Wasn't worried by anything?
No.
At around 3:15, her husband, air conditioner repairman Robert Marr, has finished work and begins the 30-minute drive home. According to Colin, the two men have an uneasy relationship.
I suspect he might have thought I was having an affair with her.
Why do you say that?
Karina told me that Robert was getting annoyed because she was spending so much time with me at the office.
Were you in love with Karina?
Look, I've been asked this question before, and I'd have to say she was my best friend. She was attractive. There was no doubt there was an attraction from her to me. I did like her overall, but if you're asking did I have an affair with her, a sexual affair, no. We never even kissed.
But if Robert Marr is concerned about Karina's relationship with Colin, it's not what he will later tell police.
You don't think, Rob, there's any more to it than just friends between Colin and Karina?
Karina's relationship with Colin, she'd just say he's a lonely old man, that he's having a bit of trouble with his ex-wife.
It's now around 3:30 p.m, an hour after Karina has left the office. We believe that she's come home. She's had a shower.
She was doing her hair apparently.
The neighbours had heard this hairdryer.
And she's changed into her...
She's in her costume.
Her cat suit, yeah.
That's right.
She was clearly preparing herself to go to work, expecting to be picked up by you.
Yep.
In the meantime, something has happened, and that's the something that we're interested in.
Robert Marr is driving home. Colin Todd will say he too is heading to the Marr's unit to pick up Karina. Robert Marr tells police he comes home shortly before 4 p.m. and finds the door open, and it's obvious Karina is there, her purse on the couch. But his account of what happens next is quite extraordinary. Robert Marr says he enters the bedroom to retrieve a book of business cards from a side table. Incredibly, he doesn't see his dead wife lying on the bed. But he does see the family's cat curled up next to Karina's body. It is an astonishing admission, and one he never needed to make. And for that reason, police believed him.
All he needed to say was, "I came home and found her dead." He didn't have to portray a scenario that didn't seem feasible.
Alex, the detective viewed it as so unusual it had to be true.
Well, I think unusual would probably be an understatement in the circumstances. And the detectives, one of the things you learn for early days when you become a detective is to approach things with an open mind and not to believe the first thing that you're told.
I think also that if that was the standard and police decided that all bizarre statements must be true, no crimes would be solved.
You're talking about a room that's 3 metres square, probably 80% of which is taken up by the double bed with the body laying in the middle of it.
In our studio, we've replicated the crime scene, building the bedroom where Karina's body was found. So, this is the bedroom. With the exact dimensions and the reported lighting conditions.
As he walks into the room, he's within a metre of his wife's dead body on the bed. He sees the cat, which is within a matter of centimetres away from the body. He observes the cat move. Then he picks up the book of cards and then walks out of the room without seeing his wife.
But she's in black, the cat's black, the sheets are black. You don't think she could have just...
Well, the thing was that how dark or how light it was really isn't the issue. The issue is that he actually saw a black cat on the black bed. I would say, based on what we know and what we've seen, I would be extremely surprised that he didn't see the body on the bed.
It's when Robert Marr enters the bedroom a second time that he says he sees Karina, and at first thinks she is sleeping, but then realises she is not. He immediately calls for help and begins CPR. So tiny are the bullet wounds, he says he doesn't know she's been shot.
Police put the time of death at between 2:30 and 4 o'clock.
It is the ambulance officers who will reveal Karina has been shot in the forehead and chest.
She had a bullet hole in her chest and she had a bullet hole in her head, which automatically turns this thing into a murder.
Karina's dad, Trevor King, is working nearby. He hears the dreadful news from his wife Denise and rushes to meet her at the unit.
And I can remember flying down that street in a glass truck, going over the bumps and glass crashing all around me. And I pulled up and I ran towards the flat.
News footage capturing that terrible moment.
My daughter in there. And this young policeman tried to stop me. And within seconds I was going to flip him. I went in there and Denise said, "She's dead. Someone's killed her."
The family is devastated.
Robert is suffering something terrible, and, we all are.
Karina has been shot twice with a small caliber weapon. Her wounds barely visible, but a tiny shell casing is found by paramedics on the bed. It was clear that inside this small unit in suburban Adelaide, Karina Marr's life was ended with extreme precision.
There's no doubt that this was a hit.
Oh, this is an execution.
Right. It's a straight-out execution. Carried out by a professional killer.
Ballistics expert and former detective Alex Kristich analyses the scene.
This is a very small room. It's a convenient room in which to commit a murder like this. She's got no exit, no way of escaping, even if she'd wanted to.
Well, we know it was broad daylight.
It is.
We know somebody knew she was going to be home.
Well, either somebody was laying in wait, or they followed her home, or they knew she was going to be home by ringing her on the telephone. There are any number of scenarios that are open to us there as investigators.
They also came here for one specific purpose. That's what it would appear. They came here simply to dispose of Karina, and they knew how to do it.
It's believed the weapon used was a relatively silent .22 caliber pistol, using short-range, low-velocity rimfire ammunition. Bullets, says Alex Kristich, fired from a professional assassin's weapon of choice.
Absolute pros. There are some military organisations where their professional people use .22 rimfire rounds, like the Mossad and places like that. So whoever did this was confident that they could deliver the bullets where they needed to be, efficiently and effectively.
Karina's position and the bullet casing found on the bed also provides Alex with critical clues about how the murder was carried out.
And for that shell to be here,
Well, it
mean anything?
it indicates that the shooter was probably towards that end of the bed, and as the weapon's fired and ejected the case, the cartridge case has landed on the bed. Based on what I see, she was more likely than not facing the door or that end of the room,
to fall back onto the bed.
and on being shot has fallen back.
So it was a hit.
So it's out and out hit.
Coming up,
There's no sign of a struggle. There's no sign of theft.
clues that Karina Marr
She was shot front on, which indicates to me that she was looking at the shooter.
most likely knew her killer.
Anyone that's at a murder scene early in the piece becomes a suspect.
That's next on Under Investigation. Tonight, we're investigating the troubling murder of young wife and part-time model, 25-year-old Karina Marr. She's left work early to change for a promotional event she's been booked to do that night.
She was caught unawares and she was executed. It was an out-and-out hit.
Her body is found laying on the bed. a bullet to the head, another to her chest.
So she's not walked into a crime, she is the crime. She's the reason they've come here.
Whoever it is that did this came here to murder this woman, and whoever it was very, very good at doing it.
Veteran detective Alex Christidge is in no doubt it was a professional hit. And his theory is the killer was in the company of someone Karina knew.
Killing people in a situation like this requires a very cold, calculating, skilled operator. Most of the murders that detectives get to see, or the vast majority of murders, there may be malice aforethought, but it's usually a fair bit messier than this.
But you see, if someone is angry, they feel they've been betrayed, they feel like in some way Karina has offended them, then usually they would enjoy the process of settling that score. In other words, they want their victim to feel some pain and feel some remorse. Whereas this was an act of just extinguishing a life.
There's no sign of a struggle, there's no sign of theft. There's a lot of
There's all sorts of things I find interesting in regards to this crime scene, and those things that you highlighted are very high on the menu. Normally in situations like this, there is sign of some sort of struggle, perhaps some sort of forced entry, perhaps evidence from neighbours of loud noises and screaming and shouting and all that sort of stuff. None of that happens.
It most probably means, says Alex, that Karina willingly let her killers into the apartment.
We've got a switched-on, smart young lady that's getting ready for work. She wouldn't normally let anybody into the house, or if she was apprehensive about anything untoward occurring, she would have raised an alarm of some sort or provided some sort of defence.
But once inside, Karina would have quickly realised why her visitors were there.
To commit a murder, you really need to dislike someone. You know, there's a motive. You don't kill somebody for no reason. Whoever killed Karina either disliked her or was in cahoots with somebody that disliked her.
And the manner in which Karina was shot convinces Alex of his scenario. It was someone she knew to gain access with a professional killer to commit the murder.
She wasn't trying to escape. She was shot front on, right, which indicates to me that she was looking at the shooter or somebody near the shooter at the time. If that person pulled a pistol and fired the first round into her head, it would have come as a surprise. The gun comes up, it fires, she falls over, another round hits her in the chest, and whoever it is leaves.
But according to Alex, establishing the identity of the killer or killers is made all the more difficult because police seemingly failed to observe strict crime scene protocols.
The crime scene is sacrosanct. Nobody goes into the crime scene, nobody goes in, nobody comes out. It seems that perhaps that didn't occur on this occasion.
The bedroom is apparently not protected against cross-contamination, nor is Robert Marr. His face left bloodied after attempting to revive Karina.
You've got him at the scene. He's got what appears to be blood on his face and on his hands. You've got him walking in and out of the crime scene.
He was allowed to wash. When I saw him, I was standing near the police car, viewing down the drive, and then he walked with the uniformed officer down towards the carport at the back of the units, and he was allowed to wash his hands and his face.
Colin Todd was at the scene because he was to take Karina to her promotional job later that afternoon. It was while driving to her apartment, Colin says, he learns Karina has been killed from her husband, Robert.
You call her to tell her you're running late.
Yes, and Robert answered the phone, and I said to him, "Can I talk to Karina? I'm running late." And he said, She's dead, she's been shot, what the fuck have you done?
Police seek out possible suspects. Both Robert Marr and Colin Todd are on the list of potential perpetrators.
Colin, you were one.
That's right. I arrived at the scene and I knew that anyone that's at a murder scene early in the piece becomes a suspect. You know, you got to put yourself in that boat.
Did you declare you were why you were there?
I walked over to the police car and said, look, you know, I arrived to pick Karina up, and he said, who are you?
Colin is interviewed by police later that afternoon.
They did hammer me and pressured me quite heavily and virtually accused me of doing the crime.
I have to ask you, did you kill Karina Marr?
No, I didn't.
You didn't have any motive to be angry or resentful?
No. I was giving her advice as a friend, a close friend, in regards to affairs with other people. You're doing situations too close to home with people you shouldn't be.
Colin advised police of these affairs he believed Karina was involved in while himself under interrogation. It was some months later that he was finally eliminated as a suspect.
Can I ask this question, Colin? Did Robert suspect or know that Karina had been disloyal?
It's a hard one to answer because I only spoke to Karina and what Karina told me, but I suspect he would have had to known that things were occurring.
Robert Marr is shocked and bewildered by his wife's murder.
I can't believe that they could look into Karina's eyes, into her face, and be able to do something as devastating and as final as this.
But he is also a suspect. He is interviewed by police twice that day, once at the scene, then again in the evening at the police station. His father, a police chaplain, by his side. A focus is whether he is resentful of Karina's work as a model. But he denies any suggestion he is jealous of the attention she received from men.
This is a delicate question, but do you think she may have been having an affair?
No, I don't think. I don't believe so, no.
No suspicions whatsoever?
No.
Robert Marr, in his statement, said that he was very proud of his wife, saying it was always good to tell mates your wife's a model. He said it was actually a bragging right. In other words, he was not suggesting for a minute he resented this beautiful wife.
Well,
in fact, he likes to brag about it.
He may well be doing that, but sometimes people say things that they don't mean. So there's a lot of things that are mixed in here.
Coming up, a stunning revelation.
So there was something in there sufficient to convince the judges that this man was potentially a suspect.
The secret the police are keeping.
There's something going on that we don't know about.
That's next on Under Investigation.
In a quiet, middle-class unit, a beautiful young woman is literally executed.
The killing of Karina Marr in 1997 is still one of Australia's most troubling unsolved crimes.
We still don't know who, and we certainly don't know why.
Karina's husband, Robert Marr, is quickly eliminated as a suspect. Colin Todd, Karina's boss, will also be ruled out, but only after a lengthy investigation.
I have to ask you, did you kill Karina Marr?
No, I didn't.
This was a murder that was seemingly swift and precise.
There's no doubt that this was a hit, carried out by a professional killer.
But who would want Karina dead, and why? It's a mystery that only grows because we have also learned police are keeping secrets about the case. A confidential file they're still refusing to open.
It's this withholding of information, Alex. I'm not sure what's in the public interest and what's not here.
The reason for the withholding of information is unclear. There's clearly a number of people of interest here.
The first indication there were police secrets was in 2002, 5 years after Karina's murder.
Police say while they have a few suspects, this Western Suburbs man is still firmly in their sights.
When Derek Sands, a local newspaper photographer who was allegedly having an affair with Karina, comes into the frame as a person of interest.
He gave his first interview to police only a week after the murder.
Graham Archer, veteran television news journalist, then at Channel 7, reports that Sands is in police sights.
That was the allegation that he was a suspect in a murder case.
Sands sues Channel 7 and later South Australian Police for defamation. Those court proceedings would reveal police were keeping secrets.
Liz, I was not able to cross-examine any of these police investigators.
Adelaide barrister Paul Hayward-Smith KC represented Derek Sands. The case he ran for his client was hampered, he says, because investigators didn't have to answer a number of questions. Police claimed immunity, saying their information should not be revealed to the public, including Sands.
They said it was public interest immunity. Now, this was a person who was not able to properly advance his case.
The reason for the withholding of information is unclear. There's something going on that we don't know about, and the police have dug their heels in about passing this information on.
So what is in the secret police file? From the little disclosed in the Derek Sands case, our experts believe it is critical information and potentially explosive for police. But we can reveal the secrets include evidence handed to investigators days after the murder, which could provide vital clues to the killer's identity. And there is also the suppression of other evidence, some of which might expose failures by investigating officers. Yet, the secrecy continues. South Australian Police refuse to answer any of the questions we put to them.
I happen to know, speaking to the senior police, that they actually are concerned about this case, but when I asked whether the public interest immunity would be lifted, they said that will never happen.
Did they say why?
They said it's an internal matter and it won't happen.
All the more reason for it to happen.
As for Derek Sands, the man whose defamation action revealed police were keeping secrets, it was an unhappy time. He lost both cases against the police and Channel 7. But he was never charged, even though he proved to be unimpressive in the witness stand.
The guy was not credible, and that's how the judge found him in our case. Now, having said all that, I don't actually think that Derek Sands committed this crime. There's nothing that ties him to the scene. No witnesses.
He had no motive, and no one placed him anywhere in the vicinity of that unit that day.
And Colin Todd, another suspect in the case, agrees. He arranged to speak with Derek Sands in his own bid to seek the truth.
We met at the Tea Tree Gully Hotel. I arranged the meeting.
Two suspects meeting.
I was the suspect, Derek Sands was the suspect, yes.
Did you ask him if he had murdered
yes,
Karina?
At the Tea Tree Gully Hotel, I asked him straight out. I looked at his face and said, "Did you kill Karina?" And I stared into his eyes. There was no dilation, movement of his eyes, and I believed him.
Alex.
The thing is, based on the material that I've seen, I can't see a nexus between him and the killing of Karina.
Well, it seems to me after all these years, we are no further advanced on seeing anybody charged. Any of the suspects, whether it be Colin, sitting here with us, whether it be Derek Sands, whether it be Robert Marr, or anyone else, no one's been charged. At what point do we decide it's time to lift the lid?
I reckon
we've got to do something.
Probably passed that point a long time ago.
Coming up, will there finally be answers for Karina's family?
We just want to know 26 years of, loss. Where would she be today?
That's next on Under Investigation. Tonight, we've investigated one of the strangest murder cases in Australian criminal history. Karina Marr, a young wife, real estate agent and part-time model, executed in her suburban unit, the crime having all the hallmarks of a highly professional hit.
The person who did this was clearly on a mission to murder.
But as we've revealed, there are secrets South Australian police have been keeping for the past 27 years. Confidential information that potentially could today help solve the case. Perhaps about a motive, or even the murderer, a suspected hitman.
The police have dug their heels in about passing this information on.
All still curiously protected by immunity because it's information not considered in the public interest.
Look, I think the problem here is that this is a murder that's cloaked in official secrecy, and it seems to me, Alex, that it's clarity is required desperately.
There needs to be a lot of clarity here, I think. This young woman deserves justice.
Yeah,
She's laying in her grave with a question mark over what's going on, and the public demand that there be a professional investigation carried out as far as it possibly can to establish exactly what happened.
Our experts say in a crime unsolved for over a quarter of a century, the time for secrecy is over.
We're now 27 years after the murder. So in my view, there is no prospect unless someone comes forward and confesses for any trial. So in my view, there is no basis for public interest immunity anymore.
No one has more of a stake in breaking the secrecy and perhaps finally getting answers than Karina's dad, Trevor King. He has never forgotten that terrible day when his daughter was murdered.
I was only about 1 kilometre away repairing a window when it happened.
The terrible pain he felt when he arrived at the scene
My daughter in there.
is still with him today.
It's one of those things you never really believe what has happened. It's all like a nightmare.
Why would someone want to kill Karina?
We just want to know 26 years of, loss, where would she be today? Would she have had children? Would she have given us grandchildren to love and cherish? We don't know. You go to bed crying of a night, wondering what would have happened. Why did it happen? Yeah, I keep going, why? Who? That's all I can do, because No one knows.
Graham, what is going to crack this case? What do we need to do?
Well, I think probably a judicial inquiry of some kind without a local judge is probably in order. I think the parents of Karina Marr need something. I think they're entitled to have some of these questions answered.
I would have had fresh eyes look at the entire file. With all due respect to the SA Police, I would have had investigators from other jurisdictions come in and look at the investigation and review it. Review it independently and review it properly.
Of the many cases we've investigated, the murder of Karina Marr raises some of the most troubling questions. The only way forward, our experts believe, is with an independent inquiry. The only way Karina's family might finally get some answers. Police are offering a reward of $200,000 for information that leads to the conviction of Karina Marr's murderer. If you know anything, we ask you to please call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000 or contact us on our confidential email underinvestigation@9.com.au. Thank you all very much for joining me, and I thank you. I'm Liz Hayes. Good night. Hello, I'm Liz Hayes, and thank you for watching Under Investigation. Subscribe to our channel now for exclusive clips, and don't miss out on full episodes of Under Investigation on 9Now and the 9Now app.